Most chess players are on the lookout for a good opening, for both the white and the black pieces. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you what I think is one of the best openings you can play under 2000 elo with the white pieces. Let's start. It's going to require the move e4, and they have to play the move e5. You develop your knight, and they have to develop the other knight. This is not forced moves, but these are forced moves if you want this opening to happen. You're going to push, and this is the Scotch game. You might know it, it's the third most popular opening. And then after they take, you're not going to take back like in the classical variation, but simply going to develop the bishop. This is the Scotch Gambit, and now we're going to take a look at a few variations. One of them is knight to f6. Knight to f6 is one of the main lines, and here you may think, well, now I can take this pawn, my bishop is active and stuff like that, but no, they're actually just going to recapture in the center, and that is no good for you. So you're going to push, attacking the knight. As you can see, there are a few squares for the knight. This square for the knight is actually pretty bad, because after something like this, the knight is kind of trapped, and they have a few counter attacks. Well, you're not going to play that. So here you're just going to castle, or you can take the pawn in the center, and you're just going to have a comfortable position. But the more common move is this move, knight to g4. Knight to g4 is met by castles, and you may think that, well, takes, and then rook to e1. The knight is pinned, and even though they have temporarily gained a pawn advantage, you're now winning back the knight. And Stockfish actually recommends this line, but I can guarantee you most of these people won't play this. It's they block with the queen, and after they take the bishop, you give up the rook, and now, even though they have gotten a few points of material, you've gotten a queen, but they have two pawns, a rook and a bishop, it is still not good for black. You're just going to take this free pawn, attacking the knight at the same time, and you're attacking the g7 square. They have to drop back the knight, and you take, attacking the rook. The rook has to move, the position is really condensed over here, and you're just going to develop your pieces, and after something like this, you don't really bother. You can just take this pawn, or if you want to take a more safe approach, where you don't want to open up an attack on this file, which isn't really that important because the attack is easily to be stopped after something like this. You can just go queen to e5, and you have a completely dominant position. You're a queen up, and you're simply going to attack the black position. I'm going to show you that I have to tell you that there is one more variation for black, because after you push, they don't have these two moves only. They can play this move d5, and here you may think, well, the knight is hanging, and then the bishop hangs too, but we got the knight. And now I'm going to get another pawn. Well, it's not really that good. They developed the bishop on a really strong diagonal, and the center is really strong for them. As you can see, these pawns are advanced and are taking a lot of space from you, so you are really going to struggle with development, and this is simply not good for you. What you have to do after they push, what you have to do after they push d5, you're simply going to play bishop to b5, pinning the knight to the king. And at the same time, this knight is still under attack, so it has to move. Again, if it moves over here, you're just going to castle, but the main line is to put the knight in the center. You're going to take the pawn back that you gave up in the Scotch Gambit, and now you're attacking this over here. So if they do some stupid move like this, you're just simply going to take, they have to block, or they can slide to the side, it doesn't really matter, but you're just going to collect the rook. That is not good for them. They have to block over here, and what you're going to do is simply take, and after they take back, you're just going to castle. They're going to develop the bishop, making space for the castling, and now this is a very important aspect of this line. You're going to kick out the knight. After they go here, you're going to place your bishop here. As you can see, this square is now taken away. They're probably going to castle, and by the way, this is one of the only lines that you have to remember, because all the other lines are completely straightforward. This you have to remember, and this is actually not really the most played line, especially at the lower elos. If you are lower elo than 1800, most people won't even know that this line exists. So they castle, and now you're just going to push again, because now after they drop back, you have this move, knight to d2. Threatening to destroy this pawn structure. If they ever take here, you now take here. And if you were to play knight to f2 here, you are just simply losing this. And it's a bit scuffed. It's a bit scuffed, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, that's why you have to play the order that I just told you. And after this order, if they take here, you take that. If they take the knight, you're going to take with the queen. Bishop to b6 is actually the main line, like recommended by Stockfish. Most of these people are not gonna know it. You're just going to play king to h1. You can play queen to c3. You can play knight. Oops! Wow! Why did I jump so far? Let me find it real quick. Where were we here? So yeah, takes, bishop b6. You can bring back your knight, but then they're not able to push, but they're probably gonna try to annoy you. They're going to play this move f6 and trying to knock on the door on this side. And now you have a few moves. You have bishop to c5, you have queen to c3, and this line is completely fine for you. And I'm actually crafting a chessable course right now where I have included this line too, but I'm actually giving you free value right now because I think this opening is just a gem for everybody starting in the chess world, and even if you're more advanced as well. Okay, so what happens? There are a bunch of more moves. They're gonna try to stick onto this pawn. And now, this is called the Haxo Gambit. You're going to give up another pawn, and after they take, you can sacrifice your bishop. We're going to take a look at what happens if they accept it, and what happens if they don't accept it. Let's take a look at what happens after they accept it. You're going to give a check. And as you can see, this is already really good. The opponent cannot castle, you have gained back the pawn, and you're simply going to get back the bishop. If they go here, you just collect a bishop, and after something like this, your position is completely fine. But there is another variation that after they go here, you're going to weaken this diagonal, you're going to give another check. And if they block, this diagonal is completely weak, and if they ever capture here, you're going to capture back with the bishop targeting the rook, but you just collect everything like this. And after they block, you're just simply going to put pressure over here and just castle, and your position is very dominant. The white is given a 1.4 advantage here by Stockfish, and that is huge out of the opening, and this opening is actually very common. If you take a look at this, alone this position has been reached 154,000 times in the Lichess database, and that is a lot of times because most people don't even give this check. If we analyze this position alone, it's 500,000 times. So yeah, this position is really dominant for white. And what happens if they don't accept it? You're going to play a brilliant move. You're going to take this with the knight. You're going to capture back the pawn on c3. Why? Because they can still take, but you've still got the same thing. Nothing has changed actually. And if they try to develop or some stuff like that, you're just simply going to move back the bishop, because after that the things are not going to work anymore. So you have to be careful about that. But yeah, if they don't capture, you're going to be able to take first. And then after they do a waiting move, you're probably going to have to move the bishop away. But that is completely fine. Again, your position is very good already, and your development, as you can see, is going to be very good in this position as well. Because you've got 1, 2, 3 pieces out, you've got this pawn in the center controlling, and the opponent cannot castle. You can bring your king to safety, and your position is going to be very dominant actually. Let's take a look at one more variation because it's a very common move. So they're going to go bishop to b4 check, and now you're going to block. Here they're threatening a very dangerous discovered attack where they're going to simply win this over here. So let's say a random move. They're just going to take over here and you lose the game instantly. No, you don't do that. You're just going to castle out of the way, and if they take, you take back with the bishop. As you can see, these bishops are really strong, like in the Danish Gambit, if you know what I'm talking about. The Danish Gambit is actually a very aggressive gambit, and you can see these are very similar. So they're going to probably develop the knight, and yeah, now you can play the move a3 and something like e5. And obviously, this is completely fine as it's protected already, and you're just going to go here. Or you could actually just go here as well and put a lot of pressure on them. You can go here afterwards and enable rook to e1 because rook to e1 was covered. And this position, even though you're 2 pawns down, the development is so crazy that this position is actually fine for you. But you have to kick out the knight first. I forgot to mention this. And these two moves are actually really good. You have to kick out the knight first, otherwise you're gonna be in trouble protecting this pawn. Let me show you real quick, because I taught you some bad shit. After takes, you're gonna be in trouble protecting this pawn, and now black is actually consolidating. So no, kick out the knight first, and the knight is going to be on a very bad square too. here on h6 and you're going to be completely fine. I'm going to show you one more thing because many people play this, and it's actually a move like h6 or d6. You're just going to capture, and then as you can see, your queen cannot be kicked out anymore like in the regular Scotch game. You're just simply going to bring out all the pieces and then probably start an attack. If you're already playing this opening, you're taking a more aggressive approach to the game, and you can lash out with king to h1 and f4 and stuff like that later on too. So after something like this, f4 is actually not crazy at all, because now after castles you've got a lot of attacking ideas. If you want to go crazy, I don't really recommend it. You don't have to do that. You just play bishop to bishop to e3, bring all your pieces, and then you're simply going to start a slow but strong attack. You can put your rook on d1 as well, move the queen, push, and then the pawn is pinned, and you're going to have a dominant advantage. And this is what I'm telling you. If these people don't know the actual main line, which is the main line with knight to f6 and then d5, your position is going to be completely dominant. And even after that, again, this position is not good, but this position is simply superior because there are a lot of traps in this opening, and I don't have enough time to cover this in one video. I should make like 30 minutes or 40 minutes video to cover all the main lines and all the traps, but as I said, I'm crafting a chessable course, and this is all you need for the beginning anyways. So if you want me to go into more detail, you should stick on, because the chessable course is actually going to release soon, and it's not just about the Scotch Gambit or the Scotch game or some shit like that. It's actually the complete white opening. I'm going to include the English opening, the Reti opening, the Queen's Gambit, the Rui Lopez, the Italian game, and I have so many more openings that I'm working on. The London, even though you may or may not hate London, I have included the London as well. The Coley system, the Nimtsovich, everything is going to be packed in one single chessable course that is going to be affordable. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified when I release a chessable course and when I drop more gems like this, because I'm dropping the value from my chessable course right now. Like this video if you liked it, and don't forget that I've got the best chess product with the link in my bio, with the link in the description, I'm sorry. And yeah, see you next time.